Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, in The Mandalorian, Chapter 6, The Prisoner. So the whole time, of course, in our minds, we should have been worried about, well, who's this prisoner? I would say that, to me, is the only true letdown of this episode. Everything else, to me, was just awesome. Also, what was it, like 44 minutes this thing ran? The longest episode so far, beating Chapter 4 by 2 minutes. Everything else was like 30 something minutes long, like 32, 33 minutes long. One of the things I really like about that, if this was on a network television series, then we couldn't have that. You would literally have to compact everything into a half hour or an hour or whatever they've time slotted everything for, including commercials pre-packed in, right? So the fact that this is on a streaming service, we're paying for this, no commercials, boom. We get to have each episode being as long as they want it to be. Minimally half an hour, otherwise we're all going to be pissed. If they turn out with a 10-minute episode, I'm going to be pissed. In fact, when I turned this on, for some reason, tell me if this happened to anybody else, Chapter 5 showed up as I didn't watch it. I don't know why that happened, because I clearly watched it. And I watched it here, same place. So anyway, I'm wondering why that happened. So I looked at that and I was like, cool, all right, there you go. What's this? 2 episodes? They dropped 2 episodes? I clicked on Chapter 5 thinking maybe I should watch Chapter 6 first just to see if they're going to do the thing. And no. Oops. So I'm looking at this like, I've seen this episode. What the hell's going on? And yeah, duh. Anyway, you got me. You got me. So this episode is called The Prisoner. The Mandalorian stops off at a this base in orbit, and I'm thinking to myself, oh man, they got the blur feature in the background, so you're just seeing the Mandalorian. He's obviously on some kind of a spaceport somewhere, a space dock someplace. When they pan out and we actually get to see the area, are we going to see that there are actually stormtroopers around? Like, what is this leading into exactly? So I was a little bit disappointed when I found out it was just basically it was like nowhere for, in the Guardians of the Galaxy, the big celestial head. It was basically like nowhere for the Star Wars thing. Okay, whatever. I almost wish that it could have stuck around. Oh well. Maybe they'll have a different one kind of like that. Excuse me, because he is kind of like Star-Lord, but, with a more badass attitude. He doesn't have an attitude, he has a manditude. Anyway, a little sick, guys. Sorry, that's the hunters. keep my neck warm. Okay, so he stops off and we see that he met up with this old Mandalorian, this old guy who used to run with the Mandalorian, and his name is Ran. He's got a longer name, who cares? The idea is that this knuckleface, he's old. So I don't know how old the Mandalorian is, but they are giving the idea that he's up there in age, right? So anyway, ran with this dude. He ran with Ran, and now Ran has a mission for him, and he introduces him to Mayfield. He's this. It's gonna be some people who have a problem with this. People are like, what's up with the Brooklyn, New York Italian attitude that this guy's got, and the accent and all that stuff? Jersey, New York, New Jersey Italian accent. You really think I'm going to have a problem with that? So anyway, his acting was a little bit over the top. I'm going to get more into that in a minute. All of their acting was a little bit, but it is what it is. And plus, let's be realistic. If we could see Jesus Christ being portrayed by a super Italian with a super New York Italian accent, then we're okay with this, right? If you guys know which movie I'm talking about, you watch a lot of movies, like me. Anyway, but old movies, not the new stuff. Anyway, so we get introduced to this, I guess he's just a regular old human. A lot of humans in this galaxy a long time ago and far, far away. So he's basically a sharpshooter. That's cool. I dig this. I have seen this crew before. I played an FFG Star Wars game where I was actually that Deveronian. All right, Deveronians are usually considered very low strength, but I played one that was high strength because I want to mess with people, and we were Mandalorians. What do you call it? So yeah, that was actually cool. And the Mayfield guy played with a guy who acted a lot like him. Plus, he had that little gun on the top. So That was actually really cool. It felt like they stole some stuff from me. It feels like they stole some stuff from our game, all right? Star Wars. Just, it's on the internet, all right? That being said, if Star Wars is going to steal some stuff from us, what they need to steal is what I said. His name is Yiddle. It's not the child, it's Yiddle. I want his name to be Yiddle. It's lace, it's free. Please take it. I demand that it's Yiddle, because for me, it's going to be Yiddle anyway. So we get to see this Deveronian. His name is Berg. We also see a Twi'lek, whatever you want to call her. I don't really care. She's referenced nickname Twee later on, which is like, oh, okay, I see where you're going with this. Anyway, her name is Jian, and she apparently had a quick love affair thing with the Mandalorian. He apparently knocks boots with the helmet on. Whatever, man, I don't care. I don't care. They said that they can't see your face. They didn't say anything about the head. I'm going to leave that out there. Anyway, so what have you now? Zuckuss. You remember, anybody know the Star Wars lore? Zuckuss, he's a Gand Findsman. Look up Gand on the internet, see what you see. I always thought that was funny. Anyway, one of my favorite species to play when I do the Star Wars role-playing games. The Zuckuss, that particular Gand, he was a bounty hunter who ran with a Loam series protocol droid. Very different background, but in general, they are protocol droids, the LOM, Loam series protocol droids. Forlom had an insectoid head. This one has a different head also, but it is a protocol droid that is reprogrammed to be a lot tougher. Anybody who's familiar with, what is it, BT and 000? I forget what the protocol droid's name is. But if you're familiar with Dr. Aphra from the comic book series, boom. That's supposed to be a TV series also one of these days, and it could be really fun. But anyway, if you're familiar with her, she was in the first volume of Darth Vader for Marvel recently in the past couple of years. But volume 1 of Darth Vader, issue 3, was her first appearance. So there's that. What do you call it? She has a protocol droid who's and you know, an R2 unit that are ridiculously wicked, and they yeah. So it's these 4 bounty hunters working for Rand, and they have a mission to go and rescue the prisoner. So they have to go on this Republic ship. The reason why they needed the Mandalorian specifically is because his ship, the Razor's Crest, is so old that it doesn't appear on anybody's radar, so they can't see it coming, so to speak, so it can sneak up on people. This is a situation like Empire Strikes Back, where not Han Solo, his best friend, Lando Calrissian, Billy D. Williams, he's like, this deal keeps on getting worse by the second. That's what pretty much happens in this episode. This deal keeps on getting worse. Like, wow, this is bad. So this freaking knucklehead, he gets stuck in this situation where he's on this spaceport. He doesn't know what's around him. He can't just start shooting people to get out of there because, you know, every time that every one of us is thinking, just kill everybody there, we wind up seeing a reason later on why that wouldn't work. So the Mando, for the sake of the series, did play this smart, and he did win. He did win. So also really cool moment where where Zero, the protocol droid, the Loam series protocol droid, does one of these things and makes the little thing come out, kind of like RoboCop, like a quick RoboCop reference there. Makes the little data entry port come out. It's like, oh, you know, I'm just like, you know, you guys, except I do it better and I'm smarter too. Let's talk about the acting for these guys. For that particular droid, it is still a protocol droid. All right, that, like, let's just talk turkey here. It is still a protocol droid, so it's still got to do the what's his name? Christopher Daniels? I don't think it's Christopher Daniels, who played C-3PO. Anyway, they all the protocol droids basically have that kind of walk. You know, they have the oh yes, master. You know, whatever. And even if they're wicked and evil, that's still the way that they move. You know, they can have different quirky attitude type movements and whatnot, but it is what it is. It's still a protocol droid. And I believe this is actually an older series protocol droid. I don't know. According to new, I can't tell anything anymore, because then they turned around, they made it so that C-3PO was actually built by freaking Anakin Skywalker. So, like, I don't know anymore. All right, the whole thing is just all over the place. Anyway, so so even the EU's been out for a long time. So this thing, like, it moves quirky, it talks really weird. You got the over the top guy, the super Italian guy acting up. You got the Twi'lek who's really weird. Cian and stuff like that. Every so often. Yeah, it is all over the top. You realize this is a TV series, though, right? I'm okay with the acting on this. You can only have but so much direction for a TV series. This is the first actual ongoing TV series for Star Wars. The acting wasn't great in the first season of any of the Star Trek series. Oh my God, go back and look at the acting for all of the Star Trek series. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the first season. My God, man, I don't care which season you're talking about. They all sucked. This feels a lot better to me. And plus, most of these characters are not ongoing characters. They're going to be killed or whatever at some point later on anyway. So, and so I'm okay with all. I really am okay with all of this. The acting on the ship itself, right at the moment where they realize that Yiddle is on the ship. Like, what is this little thing? Is it a pet? Everything here, this actually felt very realistic to me. Yes, over the top, but still very realistic here. They all kept on trying to act like they were tougher than the Mando. No, you're looking at the wrong way if that's your mentality on this. They had to see what the Mando was made of. All right? Xian already knew. She's like Black Widow in this, when everybody's trying to lift Mjolnir. She's the only one who's like, yeah, that's not a thing I need to prove to myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's who she was. She already knows what the Mando can do. And realistically, she only helped this situation out more. The thing and such, I did what I had to do. Yeah, but you liked it. That really only boosted the thing a little bit more. But nobody wanted to go for that. Why? Because they had to see what he was really made out of. Being former military, yeah. And I can only imagine that the Marines had it worse. I can only imagine from the stories I've heard from the Marines that I know. But in the Army, yeah, it's not about proving how tough you are. Like, the veterans aren't interested in that. It's rather about trying to see how tough this other guy is. Shoot, straight off the bus in basic training, saying the drill sergeants try to see what they have to work with. They try to break you down as much as they can the first moment they see you, getting around you, calling you all sorts of very unpolitically correct names, trying to see, are you going to break? Are you going to cry? You know what I'm saying? That's what they're trying to do. So, hey, take off the mask, take off the helmet. Let us see your eyes. And then to stop. Why? Let's see what you're going to do next. Got to see what we're working with here, man. Got to see what we're going to work with. Plus, they were planning on screwing them over anyway. So, you know what I'm saying? All of this, I thought that this was great. I thought that it all made perfect sense. Yes, again, the acting is over the top. Again, who cares? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't bad over the top acting. It was just over the top. It is what it is, man. I expect that in a TV series, especially with the first ever Star Wars TV series out there, live action. So these guys, they go downstairs. They go into this place. It's a rebellion place. There wasn't supposed to be any humans there. I like that the Mando had certain reservations. It's not so much that he cares about life, but he is the good guy, so he's not supposed to just go around ruthlessly kill people, even if they are bad guys, which the ending was a little bit weird for me, but it is what it is. But when he wanted to keep that one guy alive, he was a rebellion guy. It wasn't a part of the original contract. With the contract constantly changing like that, this is one of those situations where it kind of reminds me a little bit about Batman. Okay, well, the Mandalorian is like Batman. Yeah, think about all the gadgets everywhere, and he's still got a code, and anyway, except he uses guns. So with Batman, he doesn't kill. That's his one rule is actually two rules combined. He doesn't use guns, and he doesn't kill, right? I've only got one rule, which is basically I don't kill with guns. because Batman does sometimes kill. Batman does sometimes use guns. That grappling hook gun, the freaking guns on his Batmobile and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a complicated. That's why he always says, "I've only got one rule." He never actually says what that rule is, though, does he? So, likewise here, Batman is dealing with the worst kind of criminal element imaginable in Gotham City. We got a much larger Gotham City, a Gotham Galaxy here, plus the Outer Rim. And what lies beyond. Are we going to get Yuzhan Vong? I vote for Yuzhan Vong. But we get like these horrible people out there, but the Mando has a code. We don't know necessarily exactly what the code is, but he does have a code. And he's got to play by that code. That's why Quinn was able to mess with him at the end. Who's Quinn? Quinn is the prisoner. The biggest letdown, the only true letdown that I had in this episode was that the prisoner turned out to be not much of anything. Yeah, he's apparently pretty important to the Mando, but without any real backstory there, without seeing anything actually take place here, I was really kind of hoping we were going to see something with this. Anyway, that really genuinely is the only true disappointment for this episode for me, because that's the one thing that just, here's a story arc that was just completely wasted, is what it is. We could wind up seeing something about this again later, and I really hope that we do. Maybe we find the legacy of Quinn. Plus, again, those guys are still alive at the end. Quinn's not, Rand's not, but I wonder what's going to happen when Berg, Mayfeld, and Xian do eventually get out. I hope they do eventually get out. Seeing them go after each other like this, like when the Mando comes downstairs and he, they're like, Mando! I thought at one point they were like, he ran away. That would have been the best line, because then you see him later on. He somehow he gets all the way around everybody. He gets around all those droids. He just starts walking up. It's like, oh, we about to see some butt whooping here. and we do. And it would have looked more epic if the guys would have come in and helped. But again, Mayfeld, he's that jerk. He is sniveling. He is a little punk. He's got a great set of skills, but he is trying to prove too much, But he stops Xian at one moment. No, let's see what he can do. That's not what he says, but you can see that look in his eyes, his body language. That's what he's saying. So these guys, they watch the Mandalorian do what he can do to take down these droids. Eventually, he does wind up getting double-crossed. They put him in the prison cell that Quinn was in, and then they leave him. Everything that happened next was pretty cool, because you do get, the main thing here is the Devaronian. He was tough as nails. Dude took a flamethrower to the face, for crying out loud. Like, look, he straight up with the red. Once I saw the red everywhere, I was like, what the heck is this? Did the Fiend suddenly appear? And if you watch WWE currently, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Bray Wyatt, baby. So it's like the Fiend appeared. You know what I'm saying? And it's like everything's red. And I'm like, oh, this is freaky. And the Devaronian not only looks a little bit like the Fiend, he acted like him too. He no-sold everything. Judo flips, flamethrower to the face. He made this dude waste whistling birds, man. Oh. I'm kind of hoping we're going to find out later on that he's got like maybe in the final episode that he's got, or one of the, maybe the final episode, we find out that he's got one left and he's got to use it for a very specific target. And then maybe it'd be cool if in that same episode, he gets resupplied. Anyway, with it all, the Devaronian did prove to be tough as nails. So it shows right there that if at any moment the Mandalorian would have went against all of these guys at the same time, he would have gotten beaten. I'm going to say this again, just like I said in at least one previous episode or review. I love the idea that he's not this badass who could just walk through and kill everybody, because I don't want to see that Mary Sue style hero who just kills everybody. No, I want to see a guy who sometimes it's his toughness, sometimes it's his skill, sometimes it's his badassery, sometimes it's the idea that he's just smarter than you, sometimes it's that he's just sneakier than you. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to compare the Mandalorian to the Incredible Hulk. Okay, not just the Incredible Hulk, but to the Hulk. If you are reading comic books, and why wouldn't you? Comic Book University. The Hulk is that character that he can do so many different things depending on the personality that is needed at the moment. He's got an entire well of different kinds of Hulks that work for him. If you only watch cartoons, you just see the strong Hulk. No. The childlike Hulk. No. It's a lot more than that. Sometimes, and most of the time, this guy, he's like the Gray Hulk. You know, in my opinion, the coolest freaking Hulk of them all, who's kind of Italian. Anyway, Mr. Fix-It, baby. So I like the idea that the Mandalorian is kind of like the Hulk, another Disney property. So by the time that you get to Quinn, yeah, he was a little bit disappointing. It is what it is. The way that he's finally able to beat the Deveronian, Berg, he winds up rancoring him. You know, the door comes down, and even then, it's not the same door. This ain't the same beast. So he starts getting back up. I'm like, oh, come on. So he rancors him sideways instead. I know that loud clapping can really mess with people on headphones, so I'm doing it very soft, but you have no idea, man. I want to do like a Joker clap. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, that was great. That was great. Yiddle in this, dude. This Zero, the forlorn wannabe dude, he just straight up like, wow. He sees a little guy. Yiddle becomes Chucky. That's what happens here. Yiddle straight up becomes Chucky, and he's just like, hi, wanna play? Hey, you stupid little bee. Oh my God. I really wanted to choke him out like that. I really did. But he has to maintain his cuteness, right? Otherwise, it's a little bit scary. If he turns around and goes, ah, like that, it's like, oh my God, what have you done? But he, at the end, he tries to use the Force and whatnot. I'm thinking, he's going to like collapse him or do something really cool and whatnot. And all of a sudden, like his head just explodes and the gun falls down. And all of a sudden, I'm just like, like looks at his hand like, did I do that? No. That was a cool moment. Come on. That was a cool moment. Because we also don't want baby Yiddle to wind up being that MacGuffin that's got the Mary Sue capabilities, right? Oh, it's all going to come down to baby. Because in my head, seriously, in the beginning of this episode, once we realize that the whole thing is, it keeps on getting worse, this deal, like, you're going to need Yiddle to get him out of this situation, aren't we? I'm glad that was absolutely not the case. That realistically, Yiddle was really only a further liability all throughout. He didn't go out of his way to make sure he ran up, and because that would have pissed me off in a big way. If he were like, I have to save Yiddle, so I have to, run up and ignore these other guys on the ship that could that are definitely going to come up behind me and put a gun to the back of my head. No, or a knife in Zan's case. No, I need to take these guys out first. I have to hope that Yiddle's going to be okay. This worked. The whole thing, for the most part, worked for me. Again, the letdown on who the prisoner was. What was the point of that? Anyway, here's another slight disappointment that I had. A slight disappointment, because especially in the previous episode, but in this one also, in all these, little spoilers that they show up here, the little Easter eggs, I should say, they show up here and there. When the Mandalorian turns to Yiddle and he says, I told you that was a bad idea. How much more epic would it have been if he said, I told you I had a bad feeling about this? I feel like that was such a missed opportunity for the greatest line in all of movie history. Fight me, okay? Maybe not quite on the par with, say hello to my little friend, but that only got used once. This was one that was used in everything all the time. Why did we not have that here? And again, a play on it. How perfect would that have been? I told you this was a bad idea. Like, that would have been great. So anyway, this was a fun episode. I genuinely liked this episode. So I know there's a bunch of people out there who don't like these episodes as much as I do, as much as a lot of other people do. It's all perfectly fair, okay? But we have to, in my opinion, I feel like we should still try to remember a couple of things here. This is a season 1. All right, so again, you can go back to any first season of Star Trek. I don't care if it's Next Generation. I don't care if it's Voyager. Voyager's my wife and I, that's our favorite version of Star Trek. I loved that crew. But you go back, that's season 1. Like, dude, the acting in there was terrible. Even by Janeway, a seriously veteran actress. She's red. I love her. What do you call it? Tom Paris, his character, was the worst. He was just so stiff and then you got Chakotay, who just really didn't even want to be there. But like in all of the seasons, my wife's going back and watching Deep Space Nine now, and the first season is horrendous. It's an abomination, the acting in there, man. Cisco, Odo, all of them, they suck, their acting. But it gets better later, doesn't it? Even that first season of Next Generation. Dude, okay, minus Picard, but everybody else, you can't mess with Picard, all right? Professor X, Patrick Stewart, man, whoa. But no, seriously, like everybody, they sucked in that first season. They had to get their grounds, they had to get their ground. And these guys aren't working with a returning crew. This is really only the Mando meeting up with new people all the time. So I expect that the acting is not going to be the best here. I expect there's going to be some over-the-top stuff and whatnot. This is the first season. You don't have an ongoing crew where they actually get to hang out with each other. You don't get that. This is the first ongoing live-action Star Wars series. This isn't like Ewoks or droids, all right? This is very different. So, yeah, I perfectly expect that it's going to be what it is. There's going to be some people who've got little problems here and there with the thing. Okay, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I go and check out my most recent podcast. I'm not going to look at what it is now, but compare the dates, all right? It'll be in the same playlist that this video is in, all right? Or one of the same playlists. What do you call it? Even in the first episode, or all of the season, or all of the Star Wars movies, they all had problems with it. We can't just go by nostalgia alone. Yes, everything is going to be different. Yes, we're adults now. Most of us, I think, are adults now looking at this TV series, right? And they're trying to get kids to come in here. And kids who come up in this, like my kids right now, think this is the best show on TV. My kids, my 4 and 6-year-old kids, think this is the best show on TV. You want to know one of the reasons for that? Because I've already gone through and showed them all of the first 7 episodes of Star Wars. All right, they've seen all of those. They haven't seen the 8th one yet. Got to rectify that probably this weekend. But anyway, and then maybe we can take them to see episode 9. And there's gonna be people. Oh, I got problems with that. Got problems with that. Oh, I got problems with the Solo series. My wife and I looked at the Solo series and said we're never gonna listen to fans again when they talk about it, because I didn't have a huge problem with the Solo series. I didn't have a problem with a lot of this stuff. I'm, I guess, old enough now. I'm 44 years old. You know what I'm saying? I guess I'm old enough to recognize that nostalgia isn't going to get me through everything. I have to look at everything for what it is, and I either accept what these shows are or I don't. I accept this. I accept what the new Star Wars movies are. Are they the best? No, but they still got some really great moments in it. Just like the original Star Wars series. You got to remember, what was the thing? What did the original people who watched the first Star Wars movies in theaters always say? This is better than anything else that's out there. It's true. It was. Plan 9 from outer space, Texas Chainsaw Massacres, all these low-budget TV series that came out and whatnot. It's like, dude. But meanwhile, this comes out, the original Star Wars in 1977. It's like, oh my, what am I seeing here? Nobody expected it. Yes, there were problems with it. And the youngsters who go back and watch it today, and by youngsters, I don't mean young like my kids, who's got dad and mom sitting there going, isn't this great? Because they're going to be like, yeah. So, of course, they're going to have that nostalgia now. We've already creeped it in there. Trained them right. But 20-year-olds who go back and watch Star Wars, the first episode for the first time, doesn't hold up. They're going to be like, yeah, what is this old stuff that you're showing? Like Spider-Man in the Marvel movies, right? What do you call it? Go back and look at episode 1. Oh my God, the CGI just doesn't hold up. It didn't hold up a year later. They got rid of Yoda's mustache and made him a puppet. I'm just saying. So, yeah, it is what it is. Okay, as far as the merchandise is concerned, we have got a baby Yiddle. We got a whole bunch of cool merchandise, and this is not my merchandise. This is Disney's merchandise that's coming up. Whole bunch of really cool merch that they're showing right now, and you could do pre-orders on Amazon for it, and yeah, or you could just wait for them to show up in Toys R Us. Toys R Us should be back in full swing in the States by then, I'm hoping, because February, March, that's when they're looking for most of this stuff to be released. But there's a lot of merch they're planning on showing for this. So I'm glad. I genuinely am glad, because the property realizes what they've got here. Maybe the future of Star Wars is in TV shows. Maybe therefore they'll see The Mandalorian and they'll sink more money into these TV series. They'll put more budget into it. Dr. Aphra, what do you call it? The Darth Maul, Obi-Wan. Holy crap! I would love to see that. Hopefully, they will give a much bigger budget to the Star Wars TV series and realize that's where the future is going to be, and maybe make another movie, go back to doing once every 3 years instead of once a year again. Who knows? I don't know. I'm going to leave that up to them. But as long as they realize what they've got, they're going to put more money into it, and it's just going to keep on getting better. So I'm down. Anyway, guys, I'm out. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.